The Credit Show podcast with Harry Jacobs starts now.
Oh boy, I get a lot of calls about this issue with debt collectors reporting on consumers' credit reports without calling, without sending a letter, without doing anything, what they're supposed to do. Listen, there's a rule called the debt collection rule. It's actually the debt collection rule. You can look at it on the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau site. That rule has everything, not everything, but a majority of the things that debt collectors can't do. Kind of the highlights, the worst of the worst. The most frequent violations, if you will. But one of those things is the requirement now to take certain steps before reporting a debt to a credit reporting agency. Now, once they've followed the rules about how to contact you, they can report you to a credit reporting agency, Experian, Equifax, or TransUnion. As long as they follow the other laws about credit reporting, right? So let's talk about what they need to do these days. This goes back to 2021. It doesn't always happen. But before they can report you to a credit reporting agency, they've got to do any one of the following 4 things. They have had to have been able to speak with you about the debt on the phone, either in person or on the phone. And it happens in person. It's not frequent, but it can happen. They had to have mailed you a letter about the debt. Something has to have been sent to your last known address. And they've got to wait for a reasonable amount of time. Generally, that's a couple weeks. They either get the letter back, it wasn't deliverable, or whatever it was. Or they can send you some electronic communication, meaning an email. Same kind of time period, 14 days. Or a notice that the email wasn't delivered. If a debt collector sends you a validation notice about a debt, meaning that during your phone call you said, I would like to have this debt validated. And that's what I say all the time to people that call, that have an issue with a collection. Maybe they actually took the phone call. I always say you've got to ask for the debt to be validated. And once that validation has been sent to you, they can then begin to collect. But one of the common errors, by the way, this doesn't have to do with when a debt collector can report on your credit, which is today's topic. During that validation period, they cannot attempt to collect the debt. As an example, if you're on the phone with a debt collector and they say, well, you have this, debt to so-and-so company, it's $500. And you respond like I've told you and time again on how to respond. This debt doesn't sound familiar. I'd like it validated. And they say, sure, we'll mail that out to you. But what can you pay today? Can you pay $5? Can you pay $10? What can you pay today? That's a big fat violation. So the bottom line is they do have to. A debt collection agency has to do certain things before reporting. But we overlook things a lot. Emails we don't, from people we don't recognize. Mail that may not get opened. Whatever it may be. This is why I tell you that it's so important to look at your credit to make sure you know what's going on. When I started doing this show 12 years ago, 50% of the population at that time, I looked at my data from that time, 51% of the population was checking their credit once a year. Now here we are in 2023, about 21% of the population checks their credit once a year. It's far too important. Credit is your adult report card. I know I'm a nag about this. If a collection pops up and you weren't alerted by a monitoring service, that's your fault. Can we help you? Can we fix it? Absolutely we can. But be in the habit of checking your credit. Don't get surprised.
You've been listening to the Credit Show podcast with Harry Jacobs. If you need assistance with your credit, text CREDIT to 702-778-2000.